Welcome, everyone, to the Only Women Entrepreneurs podcast, also known as O. Here, we uncover the stories of amazing women who have broken through all barriers and created a life for themselves. Join me as we discover the journey they took and the wisdom learned along the way. I'm your host, Rosemary Cescolini, previous high school teacher who became an entrepreneur in the world of manufacturing. I worked at Royal Door Limited for over 30 years, a family-owned and operated business, designing and crafting award-winning custom-made wood doors for celebrities, athletes, TV shows, blockbuster movies, and countless people across the globe. Now, I head the organization of O, an initiative dedicated to supporting and empowering women from all walks of life. So, without further ado, let's learn about our guest for today. I was introduced to this very talented woman by our mutual acquaintance by the name of Carlo D'Ambrosio. He's the executive director of the Ontario Trim Association, an accredited bargaining agent for all employers of carpenters and carpenters' apprentices. Our guest today is Maria, also known Mary Tatangelo. In the world of construction, Maria stands out as a prominent figure with an illustrious career spanning decades and armed with a dual major in economics and business from York University with a focus on accounting and finance. Mary started her journey at the accounting firm KPMG as an auditor. Her expertise doesn't end with numbers and budgets, though. It extends to entrepreneurship. And as an owner and controller of Ganiva Trim Carpentry Ltd, she champions innovative solutions and impeccable quality while giving back to the community and working hard to make the world a better place. Welcome to the podcast, Maria Tatangelo.
Good afternoon, Rosemary.
So I'm glad you can join us. I know you're a busy lady, and this is a busy time for us because we're basically in the same business. So I'm very appreciative that you come and speak to our audience today. So let's start off the interview by learning more about who is the real Maria Tatangelo, and I want to dive into your background. So can you walk us through your past education, your work experiences?
Sure. I started university life at York University. I got my economics and business degree. I started working throughout university at the TD Bank, and I loved it. Great experience. I moved over to KPMG, and I tried to get my CPA. At the time, it was called the CA. Mm-hmm. And I worked there about 4 years. I was planning on going to Australia for a work term. Mm-hmm. And then I got called by someone that worked at our company business, and they were looking for someone to help grow the business. They couldn't find the appropriate person, and he thought I would be it.
Okay.
So in left field, I decided to change, and I started to work at our business in 1989. I started as a controller.
So any regrets not being able to go to Australia?
No. I travel exclusively. I love to travel. I haven't gone to Australia yet, but I've done a lot of parts.
Okay, we got one thing in common. I love to travel as well. Maybe we'll plan a trip together. How's that sound?
I'll take you up on that.
Okay. That's on my bucket list, but everyone that I ask to go with me kind of like shy away. There's too many venomous creatures there and I'm scared and I got to have, so many shots. And I go, live a little. It's probably a beautiful place on earth.
That's me.
Sounds good.
Challenge me. I'll do anything.
Okay. So what opportunities, in your opinion, exist in your line of business today?
Well, there's opportunities in every angle. You could be an accountant, you can be a lawyer, you can be an engineer and do very well in the construction industry. You can also go to George Brown and have a trade. To be quite honest, the trades are getting paid so much money right now. They're worth more than any accountant, lawyer, or engineer. It's phenomenal, the amount of money that they can make. But our industry is growing. It's rapidly growing. The supply and demand issues are always there. More people are coming into our country. We need the housing. So our business will keep on growing.
So you're saying there's job security.
Yes.
There is no shortage of work and a much higher pay than someone that is university educated at the moment.
Yes. But you have to work hard. Money doesn't come just because you're a carpenter or you're, an engineer. You have to work hard. People only want to hire hardworking people.
And that's true because, if you just have a title, you think, oh, I'm going to get that, big paycheck really fast. You have to work hard, but it doesn't matter what line of work you're in, as you said, as long as you have the commitment and you have the dedication to pursue your career and do a good job at it and acquire experience, people will be looking for you because, like you mentioned earlier, there are shortages. And we need to address that because right now, I think over 1 million people are coming to Canada at the moment, and we just do not have enough homes to either sell or rent. And one of the main reasons I believe is the fact that we do have a lot of shortages in skilled trades. And that could be carpentry, that could be plumbing, that could be people, machine operators. So it would be very beneficial if we could encourage the youth to procure careers in the skilled trades.
We always have like different groups and different associations, and we
Mhm.
actually train them and with minimal amounts of money up front. And we also help them get jobs with connected employers. So you could go to the trim division like Local 27. You can go to the electrical association. They
Right.
will help you.
Because now I'm just thinking back on our education history where we went to high school, and you're probably had the same experience as myself. It was basically all university driven, that what career can you go into, right? And it's always a profession, right? Either you're an accountant or you're a teacher or you're a lawyer. But do you recall any of your guidance counselors or your teachers saying, it would be a great idea to go into the trades?
No, none of them. But I was, a high scholar. So for me, university was just my path.
Hmm.
But no one ever would say, well, become a carpenter, become a plumber. And that's why we're at the point that we're at. We're paying big dollars because
Right.
there aren't a lot of plumbers. There aren't a lot of carpenters. Supply and demand again. So that's what's happening.
Psst, psst. Hey, old community. It's me, Rosemary. I am interrupting this program for an important announcement to women entrepreneurs. Would you like the opportunity to give back and help support other women in their entrepreneurial or learning a skilled trades journey? Well, here's your chance. I'm hosting a 3-day event called the You Owe It to Yourself conference starting August 9 to the 11th in King City, Ontario. 5 workshops, 10 plus exceptional speakers, and 64 attendees. Let's make history together by becoming a sponsor. Details are on my website, onlywomenentrepreneurs.com. Now back to our episode. So, if I'm sitting in a classroom and I'm a grade 11 student and I'm listening to this podcast, what advice would you give to me if I was thinking of some sort of career in construction?
First advice I'd say, do what you love, regardless of what the money is there. If you love something, you never work a day in your life. I truly and honestly believe that. I have a son of mine who is in resident. He's in his second year.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
10 years of university.
It's amazing.
Making $68,000.
Wow.
And, it's a lot of commitment, a lot, but that's what he's always loved.
That's his passion.
Him, that's his passion.
Yes.
The amount of money to get him to that point is astronomical, but he's doing what he loves. And so that works. But, if someone is good with their hands and they want to be a carpenter, I'm the first one to say, do it. If someone doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be their job.
Now, I would like to focus a little bit about your company, Ganiva Trim. For our audience that may have never heard of your company, let's talk about the evolution from supplying doors and trim to expanding into the high rise sector. So, when you guys first became a business and you were at KPMG, what was Ganiva Trim doing back then?
First of all, my dad, we've evolved throughout the years. My dad started as a rough carpenter. And unfortunately, there was an accident and he cut off his fingers. And he had to reinvent himself. So he had 2 friends and he called them over and he said, I have an idea. And let's open up a trim company. Mm-hmm. And he did. So it was mid-70s. He and 2 friends started this Ganiva Trim, where he would go out and get the job and they would complete it. And they did low rise extensively, trim carpentry work for the builders in our area in Ontario.
Fantastic.
And it wasn't until 1988 where they opened up a sister company called Balmoral Lumber. And we manufacture beautiful casing, baseboards, a few doors, but not as many as you. You have the golden staff. God bless you. And
Thank you.
And in 1989, I joined the company and joined the team. In 2002, the second generation took it over. My dad retired, so did his partners. And we started with a different focus. We wanted to expand. We started in high rise. Now half our business is high rise and half our business is low rise. And with, the decrease of land in our area, people are building up. That's the future. We're so proud of everything we've done in low rise, and we want to work on low rise, but our jobs are so far away. We work in Hamilton. We work in Stony Creek. We work in, where else? Newmarket. Like, they're far. The jobs are far. Our carpenters are driving an hour away. But the ones that are doing high rise, they're still not close. Downtown Toronto will take you an hour anyways to get to. But they're more intensified.
Yeah, that's an incredible story because one nugget that I want to draw from what you just said is your father had an injury. And he had to figure out another way of providing for himself and his family, a young family, I'm assuming. So entrepreneurship.
8 mouths to feed.
Wow. That is a big family. So yeah, the pressure mounted. Like, what am I going to do? Especially like, did he lose his fingers on one hand?
Yes. But I'll tell you, it led to his success. That was the one thing that led to his success. If I could put one pinnacle point.
Yeah, it does.
He stopped working as a sole individual, and he got groups of people, subcontractors. Today we feed more than 200 families. They rely on our jobs.
Right.
And at that time, he was supporting 2 families. So when he cut off his fingers, he had to rethink it and reinvent himself, reinvent his company. It was a very hard time for our whole family. We saw the pain. It was the first time I ever saw my dad cry.
Can't imagine the traumatic experience, especially like I can sympathize because being in the woodworking industry, I always say, you know what, please let all the people I employ come to work, where they are focusing on the tasks that they need to do. And especially they leave home with their fingers, because not only is it like really a traumatic experience for the person who experiences the accident, but as an employer, you see your employee going through that, the family, the suffering. I can really relate, and that hits a nerve deep within me. And I understand what your father's pain was, and then as a family, what you went through, because but the good thing about it is your father bounced back from a tragedy to a success story. And
boy, did he bounce back.
Yeah, and you know what? Congratulations on that. That is something that you will not read in a book or get that information anywhere else, unless you're talking to people about their work experiences. And I appreciate you sharing that. That is very personal. And thanks again. And hopefully it will give, some of our listeners that perhaps are in a similar situation, not to give up on themselves, that you can do it. Your father was living proof of that.
He teaches me so much every day of my life. I'm so proud to be his daughter. And I still have him around. He's 86 years old. He's, drives still. He's a big force of us. He doesn't work, but he'll show up every so often.
Of course.
Coffee. He'll come in, find someone and have coffee with them. It's so nice to see.
And I'm happy because that's wonderful. That's one thing that we miss at Royal Door. My father-in-law passed away in 2016, and he was 85. He had a great life. But that's the main thing that we missed when he retired. He would come to the shop, and again, he would bring us coffees, he would chat, he would talk to all the employees, and sometimes he would look at the machines, and he'd tick around and say, you know what, that one needs service, and you know what, I think you got to change the belt on that one. I think it's worn out, or the cutters need to be sharpened. So I miss that. So you enjoy each and every day that you have with your father. That is precious. So your business is actually older than our business. We started in 1975, and you guys have been in business since 1973. So that's 50 years. That's half a century. That is incredible. So, what do you believe are the key factors that have contributed to the company's longevity and success?
We work hard. We really do. We care about our customers. Their problems are our problems.
Yeah.
When people believe that, when they're calling you and they're saying, I need this, and you react, they're happy. And honestly, over the years, our customers have become our friends.
Mm, that's good.
We laugh with them, we eat with them. Some of them we travel with. We've become long time friends now. After so many years, it's an honor to be, their supply partner channel.
That's fantastic. Yeah, building relationships with not only your clients, but also the people you house, right? That you provide housing for. That's incredible.
Yeah, our company helps their homes become communities. We all work hard. When someone has a closing, we all work. We all want to make sure that that family gets into that house as quickly as possible. Their dream is home ownership. Our dream is to fulfill it.
And that's a great philosophy. So it definitely explains the company's longevity and success. Hey, old community. I'd like to interrupt this episode with an important message from me personally. Do you like the content of O? And are you wondering where you can get more support and have your questions personally answered? Then you should attend the You Owe It to Yourself conference that I am hosting, running for 3 days, August 9th to the 11th in King City, Ontario. 5 workshops, 10 plus exceptional speakers, and only 64 spots. Don't miss out on your opportunity. Tickets are now on sale at onlywomenentrepreneurs.com. I can't wait to personally meet you. Now back to our scheduled program. How has your extensive experience in accounting and in the construction industry shaped your perspective on finance and business management?
Well, finance is important in any company. Cash flow is important. Doesn't matter what company you're in, especially in our industry. People tend to pay us slow, and we have to move the cash over and over. With increased demand, there's increases pressure on our accounts receivables. We now demand our customers pay faster. We have to get our payments into our suppliers faster. Everybody's looking, and right now there's a tendency to have more fear into our industry right now. People don't know if people are going to be able to close their houses or close their apartments because it's hard to get a mortgage. So
that's right.
The suppliers are getting fearful. Bankers are getting fearful. So we're on heightened alert. We only have so long to put a lien on. We have to make sure our monies come in and our payments get out.
It's that's some good points you brought to our attention, because you've been in the business for so long. You've experienced the full cycles of the business, the ups and the downs.
Rosemary, I always thought I knew everything. I don't. I don't know nothing. COVID has proven to us that we know nothing. There are so many variables that can come into place. It's incredible. So, there's different, things that have been happening. So, in the past we could say this and this is going to happen. We don't.
Right.
We don't. Right now we're all thinking that the houses might go down. But the reality is land hasn't gone down. Labor hasn't gone down. Products aren't going down. How can these prices go down? Maybe the old product can go down when someone's getting out of the market, they're closing up and they said, okay, I've made enough.
Right.
But the new product out there is just going to keep on going up. There's no way.
There's no option because, like you said, everything's going up, and it's the scary thing is inflation. And I want you to talk about the effects of inflation as you see it, what's coming down the pipe, and how it's going to affect, a younger generation of individuals, and perhaps the goal or maybe the dream of home ownership is really not going to be possible for people in
Inflation
their
is scaring
30s.
me. It's rampant right now. I'll give you an example. Over the years, I make it my my goal in life to hire people, especially immigrants. I like to
Yes.
give them a helping hand. My parents were immigrants,
So do we.
and especially young immigrants. So this year I came across the two immigrants from Ireland, two wonderful gentlemen, love them.
Fantastic.
And they came, three people came over and they were living downtown, Chrissy Pitts. They rented an apartment, a 2-bedroom for about $2,900.
Wow.
Well, they couldn't make ends meet and they were taking the subway up to Vaughan. And I would meet them at 6:55 in the morning, pick them up and drive them to our business for 7 o'clock
Incredible.
to start work. And they knew that, I was going out of my way to do it for them, but I really wanted them to succeed. And then one of them left to go home and they found a cheaper location closer to our place of business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about $2,000. The amount of money that they were making, it was hard for them to, go and travel. They wanted to see all of Canada. Canada's expensive to travel. It's not
It
like
is.
Europe. In Europe, for $30, you can go to Spain. For $40, you can go to Italy, but not in Canada.
No.
And so on the way home, one of them tripped and broke his arm.
Oh, no.
The other one stayed, but he couldn't make it. And he too left about a month or two after. So, it was actually, I would do it again, but it was actually sad that they couldn't continue. And I see a lot of people, and we've had 2 employees from the Ukraine work here. And, they tell us, like, rentals are $2,500 a month. How are people going to be able to afford these amounts of rents? It's sad. And
It's
it's just
sad.
going to continue. And, if you do the calculations of even an ownership, first of all, you've got to come up with about $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you do an ownership, your carrying cost for an apartment is $4,500. So that's out of the question too. It's really difficult for anybody. So unless you have a family member that's going to take you in, or, really have a large amount of people living in a small space, it's a very difficult life right now in Canada or in Ontario.
Yeah, and I can concur. I see we had a large amount of our workforce retire before the pandemic, and then we started recruiting to see if we could find individuals that were interested in having a career in manufacturing, and it was next to impossible. So what we did, similar to you, is new Canadians who were eager to come to work and start a fresh life. So we had to do something a little bit different. Some of them were, like you said, were struggling. So we had to help them co-sign loans where they had to, have some sort of financial credibility in order for them to be able to, like you said, get an apartment for rent. Or some people, they just got together as a group and they purchased a home or a condo, and so they have multifamilies living in one area, but they're able to progress. And over a few years, some of them saved enough money where they were able to buy their own place. We also helped them establish, financial savings. We helped them to do some sort of planning for savings and investments. And I think the call for employers and entrepreneurs, which people don't understand, is when you are an employer, you have that head of the family responsibility where you, in order to guarantee your success, you have to ensure the success of the people you employ. You have to make sure that they have the shelter, that they have their bills paid, and that they have a roof over their head. They have to have clothing, they have to have a means of transportation. And once those things are taken care of, they're able to come to work. They have that sight that, yes, I have a chance here. I can do well. I can prosper. And right now, that situation is becoming a little hard for employers as well because of the term of the tide. Our economy is going through a recession. And I think the construction and manufacturing are sectors that feel the downturns earlier than everybody else. Like we can feel when things go down. And right now, because our interest rates are taking effect. They've gone up many times and it's slowly catching up to people. They're realizing, oh, wow, my monthly payments, they were $2,000 when some people like they've tripled $6,000 a month, but you're paid in triple. And so we're going to have more struggles. And as employers, they're not going to have work down the line because the homeowners that employ us for home renovations and new builds, they won't have money to invest into these projects. So it is definitely frightening times. And as an entrepreneur, you can relate because you've gone through these cycles in the past. You have a feast phase and you also have a fasting phase where for us, the last feast that we had was during the pandemic. We were actually one of the companies that were blessed to stay open as an essential service. And we worked really hard. And you mentioned that earlier. As an employer or an entrepreneur, you have to work and you have to do work that other people are not willing to do. So when our staff chose to stay home, the majority of them, because of government incentive programs, well, guess who got to roll up their sleeves and
I picked
sell
up more
product?
boxes, delivered
Right.
more trim, drove more trucks that you can imagine.
And that happened to you too, right?
Oh, I remember one day I had someone that needed something yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I go in the back, and very few people were working because a lot of them were scared and they were getting incentives to stay home.
Right.
And they were fighting because they didn't want to go out. You know, they were scared of COVID. And I looked at them and I said, get the stuff on the truck. I will deliver it myself. And it was a huge truck. It was a huge
I
truck.
did the same thing.
I'm driving down, our little city, and people are
Yeah.
looking at me, and I'm waving to them because they can't believe their eyes because I'm 5 foot nothing. I've got
You're
this
a
big
petite
truck,
woman. Yes.
got
Wow.
this big truck, and I'm driving it along, and I get there, and it was funny. It was just funny, and they're all looking at me, and the builder's looking at me because he couldn't believe I arrived. And I said, well, you needed this. I delivered. But I'll tell you, the next day, my body wanted to divorce me
Oh,
because it was so much labor intensive. Like
yeah. It was
I went,
physically demanding.
yeah, physically. Like I'm a small stature. I was bringing in trim, which is about 14 to 15 feet, with someone helping me, but the weight was going in. But I did it. And you know what? I got so much respect from my other employees just looking at me do it because I'll never, say no to anything. If it needs to get done, I'll do it. I've done everything. The only thing I haven't done is driven a forklift, but I did take the course just in case. But right now I haven't, I've had my people.
Actually, you know what? I managed to get my license as well, and I can operate it, and I have fun with that, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes when nobody's around, you've got a huge manufacturing plant, and when your inventory is running low, you can kind of have a little bit of fun going up and down, right? When no one's around. Those are after hours fun.
I've never done that yet.
You gotta try it. You know, it's like being a little kid when you go to the grocery store and you have the shopping cart, right? And
Yeah,
so you hold on to the top, you give yourself a good push, and you just coast on it.
yeah.
Same fun. I know it's adult fun. Anyway, so going back to O's missions, what we really want to try to accomplish on this podcast is to bring a little bit more information out into society, and the best way to do it is through a podcast for a younger audience that hey, there is a great opportunity for you in the alternative trades. And like you said earlier, if I really don't want to, work with my hands, I want to work on a computer, you could still have use for these individuals in your office, which is fantastic. Now, in your organization, do you have any women that install trim, deliver trim, or any of that aspect?
We have women. We had one for 15 years, and she just retired. She
Mm,
was making new channels. We have one working in the hardware department. We do not have any. We have one installer up in Hamilton, and she's one of my best groups. And that's it for now for women in our industry. In my own little company, we have women that work in the office,
right.
but installers there aren't very many. But when they are, they're very good because our job is very detailed and they're detail oriented.
Right. And so for a woman or a young girl listening and say, well, maybe I want to be a trim installer, where would they look? Where would they get
They
that
would go
training?
to they would go to local 27.
Local
There's a
27.
yeah, local 27. They're located in Vaughan, Weston, and Highway 7 area.
Okay.
Uh, there's a a program that they get into. It's about I believe it's about 2 months course to 3 months, and they will train you in all aspects. It's a great program, not expensive whatsoever, and they will help you also get a job.
Okay. That's good to know.
And then once you work for about, you need experience. You need a good year or 2 years. Then you could put up a bond. I believe it's $10,000, and you can hire people, and they could work under you. So basically, you become their boss, and you work as a team. Teams are usually 3 people or more.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. And that actually is the next question that leads into entrepreneurial journeys. So O wants to help aspiring female entrepreneurs get to their end goal. So what advice would you offer to these women looking to establish their own businesses, especially in specialized industries like construction?
There are so many programs out there that want to encourage women. Um, Even in our industry, like I would open up my arms quickly to a woman and saying, "You're the one. Please come in. We'd love to have." And I think I'm not the only person. I think there's a lot of us here that want to encourage women
Hmm.
because we believe that they are very good at what they do. Like I mentioned before, they're oriented, detail, and that's what we do for finish carpentry. Also, in the unions, there haven't been many women in the unions, besides lawyers. There used to be one or two that were working there, but over the years they've either retired or became ill and left. So there is big movements for the unions. They need to hire women. And anyone that would go there, work hard, I'd say that you could achieve greatness there.
Okay, those are good points. Thanks for sharing that information. Would you be able to provide some personal strategies or habits that have helped you achieve success both professionally and personally?
Um, Good habits, be positive, be motivated. Never put down anyone. You never know when you need them. Um, Give advice, but not to insult someone. Just say, "Have you thought about this?" Don't say what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
Just the way look into people's eyes when you talk to them. And you know what? If you want to do something, you know, I always say this: be the narrator of your own life. Create your own success. You want to go meet someone, go meet them, give them their hand, tell them who you are, introduce yourself, tell them what you want. Go meet the people you want to become, ask them, for their ideas. They'd be happy to share them. And they'd love to talk, especially about themselves. But you're going to get insights that you can't get from just learning and taking 10 years to learn. Here's a person that's going to tell you how it is within minutes. It's great exposure. I always tell everybody that.
And that's so true. Like, all you have to do is ask for help. And you'll always find that one person that's willing to share their advice or a story about themselves, and that could probably be of good benefit for you. Those are excellent points of advice that you gave, and I agree. I just find that the younger generation, they're a bit shy. I think too much time with social media, where we're kind of going a little backwards, where you don't have that eye contact anymore, or you don't shake hands, and that's something that we have to bring back. That's very important, to be able to converse and speak freely about things. And like you said, don't criticize. Just, what do you think of this? Maybe you can help me out with this problem. And it's just the way you formulate the question. Yeah, that's great. Now, one of the core focuses of O is empowering women to overcome challenges in their lives. Throughout your career, what are some of the most significant challenges you faced, and how'd you overcome them?
The biggest challenge I ever had was when my mom was diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
She was given 3 months of life left.
That's sad.
And I was controller of this big company. And I had a lot of people that were depending on me.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I had to make sure that I could extend my mom's life and fight for her life. You get the health care you demand. And so I went looking and running around, and basically everybody that I talked to here in Canada said she had 3 months. That was it.
Oh,
Go and enjoy your life. So I went on the path, and I called all over the place, and I found a doctor in Italy that said I had the cure for cancer. And I sent her. She tried, but it wasn't working. And she came back, and I was working and taking a mother, a wife, trying to control these companies and trying to moderate for healthcare. Finally, I found a place in Switzerland, but I had to go with her this time. So I took my eldest son with me, and I would call daily and give people instructions of what to do and how to do it back at home at the company. And it was very hard juggling everything. And that's where my son turned to my mom at 4 years old and looked at her and said, I got to make sure that I find the cure for cancer. I can't help anyone else lose their grandmother. And my mom looked at him and said, I will stay with you even if I pass on, and I will make sure that you get there. So I'll never forget. That was one of the hardest points in my life and one of the nicest moments of my life. So my mom had a 2-year battle. She conquered, and God needed her more than me. So, but as I said before, my son did become an oncologist. So he got his wish, and I'm sure my mom helped him a little bit.
So again, another story where there's human suffering. In the case with your mom's illness, there was a shining part to it where your son is a doctor and he can care for other people that may be diagnosed with cancer and perhaps save lives. That is a very, very touching story. Again, thank you for sharing such intimate details. So, with that personal experience, I know that you are very much involved with the community. And one of the involvements is working on helping others that perhaps need assistance. And I know you were involved with Hospice Vaughan and the Humber River Hospital. So this is part of your programs of giving back to the community. So Can you tell us a little bit the road you traveled in these projects and how it all came about?
So I like to go to women's events. I find them empowering. And so I went to one and they asked me a question that scared me. And they asked me, if you had courage, what would you do? I was in shock. How could someone ask me about courage? And I just sat there for about 5 minutes and it really scared me. And then I realized I wanted to make this world a better place to live. So that in hand, and with the knowledge that my mom, asked to die at home because she didn't want to die in the hospital. She wanted the dignity. I took one of her last wishes and I made a choice to try to help hospice. And at the time, there was a small little place down in Woodbridge. And we helped people with the passage of life, but there was no residential beds. So I joined their board and with about another 7 wonderful people, we took on this role of opening up this residential hospice. We were told that it couldn't happen, that we didn't have enough funds, that we couldn't collect the money. And the more times people said no to me, the more it just challenged me a little bit more. So I actually met up with a bunch of people, kept on knocking on doors, and I got some great people to back me up. And we raised, and we were told we needed 40% of the bill before we could even go there. Mm-hmm. And we also had to get government approval. So we did that. So anyways, what happened was we got our approval to open up a 10-bed residential hospice. I was in charge of raising $10 million. Wow. And we did.
That's amazing.
And right now it's built. It opened up 2 years ago. I've done a gala. We raised $425,000. I did a women's event in the backyard, raised $50,000 in one night. People could come and go to this place. It's a residential hospice and die with dignity. It costs nothing to anybody. The families are taken care of. We have programs for people to accept what has happened and to move on. I have gotten so much back from this charity. It's the feeling of satisfaction. I know now that whenever I die, I've made this world a better place. And the motivators are always these little things in life. And I'll tell you an experience. I was there at a meeting, and this little boy walks in. Oh, we're at a board meeting at night because we did school programs for kids that lost their parents. This little boy goes, "Oh, I need to find. And I said to the executive director, "What does he need to find? I'll help him find it." And she looked at me. He's looking for his mother. Oh. And she died 2 months ago.
Oh, no.
And that little boy had to go through his whole life without a mother. I felt like an orphan when I lost my mom at 36.
Imagine a young child. You don't even have words.
So the more I could do to make his life a little bit better, the better it is. Right. So I'm telling you, this organization, more than the hospital, more than anything I've ever done, this has given me so much energy and vitality. And I just, I just love that it has helped so many people in our community.
And then that's an incredible story. And one big takeaway from what you said is entrepreneurship gives you that financial freedom to take on huge initiatives like this one. And you know what? And everything you said, it revitalizes you. It sometimes when you see a huge obstacle in front of you, like $10 million is a lot of money. But you get driven even more when you see those obstacles. And I can totally relate with that as well, because we were blessed in our business as well, where we started a private family foundation, and it's called Brandon's Eye Research Foundation. And we actually fund eye research worldwide to prevent blindness in young children. And there's a lot of people don't know that babies, as soon as they're born, may be born with cataracts, and they are blind at birth. And if there is not immediate intervention, they will be blind forever. So, thanks to technology and research, those cataracts are removed. The patient is followed up to ensure he or she doesn't develop glaucoma, which is another eye condition, which sometimes comes about due to the stress that surgery causes of the extraction of cataracts. But we started that in 2003 with our goal of we needed $2 million to establish an endowment fund. And this is where, fiscal prudence and business experience comes into play, where we thought, okay, we can do what other charities do, is we can do a fundraiser every single year. And then we hand the money over and the money's spent for research. Then we thought, well, there's going to be a time 30 years down the road, I'm just not going to have that energy, or maybe I'm not going to have the health to do these galas because they're huge. They were 1,000+ people. So big events. So we decided to do an endowment fund where we would put the money and invest it. And then the interest that's paid once a year goes to funding research. So because we not only did we raise 2 million, we raised 3 million. That money there is continuously funding eye research, and the doctors that we fund go worldwide to teach new techniques and preventative measures to doctors, so that young children, no matter where they are going to have ability to retain their vision. And that's why blindness is actually on a decline since over 20 years ago. So that's my little story. And so I get you, like I really do. And it was a huge undertaking. And but I'm glad that we're both able to help out people that are ill, and relieve a bit of the suffering and pain that families do experience when a family member takes ill. So now I just wanted to rewind and go back to your company. So as you look into your future, what are some of your goals and aspirations for Ganiva Trim?
Well, maintain market share for sure. Increase, can always increase.
Right.
Our other goals, this is a tough question.
I know it's a hard question.
It's a tough question. I'm 61. I see myself here for another 9 years.
Okay. So 70 is your goal?
70 is my goal.
All
I
right.
still have a child in school. I started late in life. So I still have someone in school. So I could see myself working until 70.
Mm-hmm.
So, my goals are a little bit different than others. The good
Right.
thing about Ganiva, we have different owners that are different ages. So there's younger blood, which is good.
That's nice to have.
Yeah. But I see it keeping on growing. I see it as still staying in Vaughan. I still see it being an important leader in our industry,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe tweaking it a bit, because we always have to be available to tweak it based on needs, changes in our industry.
So turning to legacy and impact, looking ahead, what legacy do you hope to leave behind, both in terms of your career and your contributions to your community?
I hope people remember me favorably, that I was pleasant to work with. I got the job done. For my kids, I hope that they remember the things we did as a family to make this world a better place. We did a lot of fundraisers together. We created, things. And I hope when they're driving by, they get to look at a building and say, my mother and I and my dad, along with my dad, who's, by the way, an integral part of fundraising. He's my right and left hand at so many things. So he's been on the board for the hospital for about 30 years. And we did this together with our kids. So I remember I hope they remember that they contributed with me and they got things done. And I hope they teach their kids the same thing.
And your message will live on because this is a recording, and it's going to be available on the internet. And that's part of the legacy I want to leave for future generations too, so that we will stand the test of time for sure. Now, Maria, I want to say thank you so much for being here with us today. Your journey perfectly encapsulates what O stands for. Any final thoughts or advice you'd like to leave our audience with?
For the women in the audience, I want to say, if you're going into the construction industry, I've been here for 30 years. Not a lot has changed. So here's my advice to you. Never get bitter. Get better. If someone makes you feel bad, it's probably because they're not just as good as you. You're better than them. You can do it. And good luck. And I look forward to hearing everybody's story.
That's awesome. So for our listeners who want to maybe connect and learn more about you, Ganiva Trim, your work, where can they go?
They can email me, mtatangelo at ganivatrim.ca. So that's MTATANGELO at Ganiva, GANIVA, trim, TRIM.ca. I'm on a little bit on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. And I do have a side gig that they will soon find if they go on, that I am also known as a firework queen. So someone challenged me 30 years ago, and I started a business that I really enjoy twice a year.
Fantastic.
So I'm a pyrotechnician.
That's great. Something that we learned that I didn't even know about. That's fantastic. So if you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and follow our podcast to learn more insights and lessons from powerful women succeeding in their respective industries. Also, like and share this episode. It goes a long way towards supporting and uplifting women. If you'd like to learn more about O and everything we do to empower women, including personal and professional development, courses to upgrade every aspect of your life, whether you want to launch a new business or take your next step into your career, visit us at onlywomenentrepreneurs.com, where you can book a free consultation right now. You can follow us on all social media, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and just search for Only Women Entrepreneurs to stay up to date on all things O and to connect with countless women living their best lives. Thank you, Maria, again, and I thank my audience for listening in, and I look forward to our next guest on the podcast. Thank you so much.